Today, we are going to look at how you can create cinematic video with realistic motion blur, all with your iPhone 12 Pro Max on a budget. Oh, that's right, we're going to do that all with this ND filter from Neewer that only costs $32. Oh, let's do this. What is going on? It's Anil, and you know what? I get asked this question all the time. Can I shoot cinematic video with my iPhone and get that realistic motion blur? But I want to do it on the cheap. I'm on a budget. And it's an interesting question. Maybe you don't need to go out and spend over $100 on something like the light chaser kit from Polar Pro for your iPhone. Maybe you can do it on a budget. So I purchased the Neewer 37mm ND filter. Now I'm not saying don't go and purchase the light chaser kit for the iPhone 12 Pro Max. It's awesome. And you know what? If you want to check out my video review of that, I'll drop a link below. But let me tell you this little ND clip-on filter here from Neewer surprised me. And I think it just might be one of the best budget options available for you now. If you've got an iPhone, any smartphone, and you want an ND filter, man, this is good. I know what you're saying, it's a pretty bold statement, but you know what? Just check out some of this footage that I took with this phone and this ND filter last weekend. Not bad, is it? Not bad at all. So before we go and take a closer look into this filter, please smash the like button. Consider subscribing, hit the bell icon if you want to get notified when I drop my next video. So let's get into the review of this ND filter. Now there are 3 assessment criteria that I always look out for when I'm looking at a new product: build quality, performance, and value for money. First off, build quality. So for an item that only costs $32, I was so impressed with the build quality of this thing. But you know what? I was impressed, but you should have included a case, because it just literally comes like this. There's no case. It's not even a soft case or a bag to put it in. And more importantly, they don't even give you a cap to put on the lens. That is a big no-no for me. Putting that aside, the quality did surprise me for something so cheap. I mean, even the movement on the ring was so smooth. All metal ring and a very strong plastic clip. Yeah, it's pretty good, pretty good. I had no issues clipping it onto my iPhone 12 Pro Max. Look at that, easy as pie. So, build quality for the money? Yeah, it's a tick in the box for me. So let's talk about performance. Obviously, it's all good having a nice looking product, but it's got to perform. When I took this filter out for a spin last weekend, I used a standard wide lens on my iPhone 12 Pro Max. I wanted to get the best quality that I could. Now, the beauty of this filter is it's adjustable. It's adjustable from ND2 all the way up to ND400. So this is great for reducing the amount of light that's going to be hitting the sensor on your iPhone camera. This is going to allow you to have full control over things like your shutter speed, which is important if you want to maintain that 180-degree rule, get that realistic motion blur. Now, I'm not going to get into the full details about what the 180-degree rule is, but in a nutshell, it allows you to create that realistic cinematic motion blur that we're used to seeing in cinemas these days. So for example, if you're shooting 4K, 25 frames per second, you want to double that, and that's going to be your shutter speed. So 1/50. If you're shooting 50 frames per second, then it's 1/100. It's worth noting here that in order to kind of control your frame rate and your shutter speed, you need to be using a pro app like Filmic Pro. You're not going to be able to use a standard camera app for these things, so I highly recommend that you look into Filmic Pro. It's not free, but it's definitely worth the money. Now, setting manual settings up in Filmic Pro is easy, and I've covered this in a couple of other videos, so I'm not going to go through it again today, but what I will do is put a quick recap in right now. And if you know about this stuff, you can always just skip into the next section. So here we go. First thing you need to do is set your desired resolution. Now I always choose the highest I can record in, 4K with 10-bit encoding. I like to shoot in 10-bit encoding because it increases the dynamic range and gives me better quality footage that I can color grade in post-production. Next, you want to choose your frame rate. I live in the power region, so 25 frames per second is what I would choose, and that's going to give me the best looking cinematic video. Next, you want to open your exposure settings by sliding in from the left. Set your ISO as low as possible. Then lock it. Taking advantage of the 180-degree rule as we talked about earlier, I'm going to set the shutter speed to double my frame rate, 1/50. I also like to keep image stabilization and activate the grid to help me with my composition. Next, you want to make sure you're using the standard wide lens for best results. Now you can see that the shot is overexposed with all those settings. You simply twist the VND filter until the image is correctly exposed. Make sure you're using the histogram graph to help you expose the shot correctly. You don't want to see any big spikes on either side of the graph. You want to try and get the levels spread across evenly. Lastly, make sure you lock your white balance to stop any temperature changes when you're shooting. Now you're ready to shoot. Now I'm telling you now, you're going to be amazed at the results you're going to get with this thing right here. Now the footage I captured was very impressive. The quality was very good. Even when I zoomed in, the edges were still very sharp. I was impressed. I was really impressed. Such a cheap, small little thing like this can produce some great results. There's definitely going to be some questions around the longevity of this product, especially when you're comparing it to the more expensive kits out there like from Polar Pro, like I mentioned earlier. But come on, $32? Now let's talk about usability and practicability. Now there's no way you can compare a product like this to something like the Light Chaser kit from Polar Pro. With it being a clip-on lens, it's very hard to keep it on your phone all day without it moving or falling off. Especially that Neewer don't even give you a cap to put on top, so you're gonna have to take it off, put it away, put it back on when you're shooting, so it's not practical. I found myself having to reattach this multiple times throughout the day when I was using it. But you know what they say, you get what you pay for, right? $32. You can't complain that you got to keep taking it on and off, can you? You need to expect or accept things like that when you're on a budget. And the most important thing has to be the quality of the video that you're shooting. Final section is value for money. I've already spoke about it. $32. It's value for money. Trust me, it is value for money. Like I said, you get what you pay for, right? It doesn't come with a carry case. It doesn't come with a cap to go over the lens and protect it. But it's still very good value for money and it produces great results. I would have even paid a little bit more to have the case, to have the cap on there. Come on, Neewer. You're almost there. You're so close. You're so close to it. You're so close. I'll definitely be interested in any other options out there. If anyone's got any recommendations, just drop me a message. I'm happy to have a little review of any of those products. But I've got to recommend it. I've got to recommend this ND filter. $32. It's a bargain. That's it, guys. I hope you got a lot of value out of the video. Go and check out this filter. I'll drop a link below. As always, if you click on the link and if you buy anything, I get a little commission. Also, check out these other videos and I'll see you in the next one.